So I want to talk about, the question of what can they do to change things, basically change themselves, because you can't really change the world as far as changing what you perceive to be outside or changing people or going, doing physical stuff, limiting yourself to physical things to change what you don't like. Like a lot of marching and protests, not that there's anything wrong with that, but the people that's in rulership, or people that was in rulership, they use a lot of magic. They use a lot of mental manipulation to get things. They do a lot of programming. Okay, so a lot of what you see right now in the physical has already been in the spiritual for years and years and years. Okay, and then they've created many timelines and have people in loops and stuff. Where if you keep going in the same direction of the timeline, because almost like your life has been predestined for you, and then you hit that certain, it's hard to explain because I'm really learning it through experience. I can listen to other people teach it, but when I get to know things for myself, it's like a different story. But pretty much your life has kind of been predestined. Some people can say it's predestined by your soul. I think it's predestined about whatever shaped your life as a child, and coming up, and then the same kind of repetitive behaviors, which could be called karma, old energy patterns, things like that. And then there's many timelines created off of those particular energy patterns. So basically, here's what I want to say. So somebody asked the question of what can they do to really get out of such a terrible world without offing themselves, right? And to be honest with you, offing yourself or killing yourself doesn't do any good if there's a certain mentality. See, the world is mental. The physical body is really an illusion. Okay, we actually hallucinate what we think we see in the physical, which is really there's no such thing as an outer world. There's only an inner world. So everything we see, even the people we see, the gas stations, everything, all of that is included in our inner world. So there's no such thing as a physical death. It's just because we hallucinate the physical reality. It's not real. So basically, with the world being mental the way it is, if you have a certain mental or a certain mindset that you don't like, and you say somebody decided to just off themselves because they want to be free, but then they stuck with a certain mindset, that mindset is going to carry on into another dimension. And so it's basically you won't be able to. You still have to work on growing spiritually. There's still things to do. Once you're outside of a physical rule set or whatever, or a particular dimension, the physical dimension that you're in, and then you kind of come out of it by dying or whatever, however you die. But the mentality is still the same. There's a lot of attachments from the world and all of those things like that. A lot of emotional trauma or whatever. There's other things that just hasn't been resolved. They could possibly, be things to hold you back. And then there had to be some work on the other side to really overstand those things and actually get into higher realms. Okay, because some people who die could have died 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and they're still earthbound. Okay, they're still earthbound, so they're still pretty, I would say, dense. So dying does not necessarily change things that you don't like unless you really change your mind. The whole point is you have to change your mind. And basically other people have said this too, so I'm not the first. Whatever it is that you really don't like, all of those things, unlearn everything that you might have learned. Unlearn everything that you learned since a child that you really don't want to be a part of your life anymore. All of the programming. Unlearn it or purge it, detox it. Just like you go on a detox and detox all the food out, clean your colon. Detox that way too when it comes to a lot of things that you have learned growing up and you think to shape your world. Detox from a lot of that stuff too, and you're probably going to see that you're probably going to separate from a lot of family members and friends. You might have fights, and if you have a spouse or a boyfriend or girlfriend, you might have problems with them too, because in the detoxing and you're getting rid of a lot of things that don't really help you, there's a lot of people that's going to be separated from you that you might have thought was very close to you. So that's a part of it. But you're detoxing, you're getting rid of old programs, and you're bringing in new type of programs that's good, that's more suitable for a higher mind or a higher world. Okay, and basically you're going to change eventually your perception of how you see the world is going to change. Your perception is going to change. You could even end up in another physical location, because sometimes when you're in a certain vibration, you get to a point where you're no longer a fit for where you are, because of the certain consciousness that could be, especially in the United States of America, there could be a certain consciousness in a lot of areas, especially where there's a number of people, live, like thousands of people up to the hundreds of thousands of people. There's a certain consciousness, and if their conscious, whether no matter what color they are, if their consciousness is low, especially after taking that thing, and here's the thing. I don't have anything against it, but I question what was the reason they wanted people to take it, because I drove Lyft, and I do occupational therapy too, and every now and then I would drive Lyft. And this is when I was in Palm Desert, and this guy was telling me about how him and some other his other associates are going to administer the vaccine to people, and he said that he just needed like 50 to 60% of people to agree to taking the vaccine, and that's all you need. And I'm trying to understand, if this is about saving lives, and what's with the numbers, what's with the percentage, why do you need that? See, because it was already known that everybody wasn't going to agree to the vaccine. It was already known that everybody don't want a vaccine, not even a flu vaccine. Everybody don't want a vaccine. It was already known. But if they can get a certain number of people in particular areas to agree a certain percentage, then it doesn't matter. It cancels out the people who did not want it. So that creates a certain consciousness over that area. And this is not to get on anybody who wants to take it. Okay? But at this point, I think things are almost over and there's only a remnant left. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's only a remnant left. When I see the world for really it is, I don't really see people. I see people that's in a program. When I use my physical eyes, which is really not your real eyes, your physical eyes is actually the eyes that's hallucinating your reality. Your real eye, your first eye, shows you what's really going on. But the physical eyes that we use every day is actually it's what we use to it's what we use to see this hallucination every day. It's what we use to see this illusion every day. The physical eyes. Okay? And so yeah, so anyway, other than that, yeah, so they have to have a certain consciousness in those areas, and a certain percentage of people will cancel out the other ones who didn't want to get it. And like I said, this is not to offend anybody who felt like they really needed it. It's not about offending folks, but at this point, it's already been proven that people don't like the truth anyway, and the truth is up to you. See, the thing is that people have to use their own discernment. But what I've noticed, that a lot of people like to get offended and ticked off when something might offend them without really trying to search for the truth for themselves. And that's the reason why there's only a remnant left. Okay, because you keep rejecting the truth, then the truth will never be around you ever again. And then you just, so like if people want to just, it's a lot of truth that was given to me that I didn't like to see either. Trust me. It's much scarier, much scarier than what's being pushed. It's a lot of truth that I had to face and resolve that was not pretty. But I had to resolve it, or else it was going to be some serious circumstances for me. So I had to learn how to accept the truth for whatever my intuition was trying to show me. I had to show the truth for whatever my intuition was trying to show me, because if not, it would have been some serious circumstances. So we can't get into all this. It's too late for denial. it's too late for denial. I mean, I know it don't look cute, some of the things you see, especially when your intuition is showing you something about yourself and maybe some potential danger. And it's hard to accept that. It's hard to accept that it could be you. But it's best to go on to try to see what it is going on before it's too late. Okay, before it's too late. Now, I want to say this, though. And I know people keep trying to wonder why evil, wicked people win, or why they keep prospering, or why. You know why? Because they are more, and this is just my opinion, this is not a fact. They are more, they pursue their goals more than those others who say they don't like it, right? Other people who say they're tired of it, they don't like it, they wish things had changed. But then it's a lot of people who say that it's really a lot of talk, and I have seen individual people who have done something about it. Even when I'm online on the internet, I see people put up certain videos with certain type of frequencies and things like that. Just their attempt to try to change what they don't like, and they trying to share it with other people. You know, different kind of meditations or whatever. It's just their way of trying to change things, and it's probably the way they do things to help themselves to change their perception of the world, and they put it on live for other people to see too. So I do see that some people are working on a change, but it's really not a whole mass of people that really cares if things change or not. They say they want it, but they're not necessarily doing anything about it. Okay, I think just based on them maybe being a good person, I guess they feel like things have changed, but it's like the pursuit of happiness, which happiness actually is not necessarily something you want to pursue because it's short term. You get something, you have it for that moment because you finally got it, and then that feeling goes away. Once you got to that goal, it goes away very quickly. So you want something that's on a higher frequency than happiness. Okay, but there has to be a strong pursuit if people are really tired of what they're seeing. Because I've seen people ask other folks on YouTube when I would listen to some of these people would do lives and stuff, and the host of the YouTube channel would read the comments, and people would always be asking about, is there ever going to be any peace? Yeah, it's going to be peace, but you got to work on getting your peace. You can't just have somebody else give it to you. And that's why I say the wicked seems to just do a better job. The wicked is not waiting on anybody to give anything to them. The people who want peace are waiting on somebody to give it to them because they feel like they're a good person. And they waiting on somebody to give it to them. When these wicked folks, see the thing, like I just said earlier, about this guy, I was giving a Lyft ride in Palm Desert, and he said he just needed a certain percentage of people to take that shot. And he didn't say why, but I already knew why, and I knew why before they even started this. I knew why since 2020. Okay? And a lot of people have already said it. It's enough to have a certain consciousness that they want, that the people that did not get it will be canceled out. And the people, I'm going to say this real quick too. The people who are like vibrating high, that's constantly trying to work on a high vibration, and they're in those kind of areas where people are very of low consciousness, no matter what color they are. I'm not talking about people that's like low vibration with their personality, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just of a low consciousness, because that can be somebody who could have a lot of money. They can be white, they can be Asian, they can be whatever it is. It's not about a color, because most of them by now have low consciousness, even if they're not violent and they're not playing loud music and all and doing drugs. And that's not necessarily, that's just, that might be on a much lower vibration. But either way, United States is on a low vibration. We can see, no matter what color they are. And I hate to say it, especially, a certain group of people that they make up a large population of the United States. I would think if many people like to praise them, but I feel like if most of them were on a high vibration, things would already change. So you got to look at what the population is the highest, and who has the highest population in the United States, and that could be an indication. Okay. That's why I don't be looking at people like they so this and that because they sorry. Sorry about that, my phone fell. That's why I don't be praising people and looking at them like they so above because they belong to a certain ethnic group or whatever, and because media wants to put them in a certain light, I don't look at them as if they're superior because, like I say, who makes up the most population in the United States, and where is the United States right now? Okay, so obviously they're not vibrating that high. Okay, they're not vibrating that high, and honestly, they can't. The people who can vibrate higher is purposely being inundated with all kinds of distractions like nobody's business, and all kinds of struggles and problems, and really planting problems in their head that don't even exist. Okay, planting problems in their head that don't even really exist. It's not for everybody to take on. Okay, but anyway, so that's what I was saying. The people who are wicked seems to be more aggressive at their goals, and that's why they keep winning. Because they have a goal of doing a certain thing, and people can believe they're wrong all they want to. The point is they are more active and they unite. It's constantly probably infighting among some of those people who are rulers or who would be who would be considered at the top. It's a lot of infighting among them, but they unite when it comes to that one thing. Though it's what's being pushed now, they unite when it comes to that. And they work diligently, they work together, and they're aggressive towards making that goal. But see, when it comes to people who say they're tired of it and they want peace and they want such and such, they're not necessarily wanting to do the work. And I'm talking about a lot of people because obviously what you're seeing is that it's just a critical number of people that's just not interested in necessarily doing the work to see what they want to see, because it's going to be some hard work. Okay, but it's hard work because you're by yourself, right? It's hard work for the individual. Our job working on seeing the world that we want to see is going to be harder actually than what they're pushing because they're united, but people are divided. So the folks are working individually, and that's going to cause some people just to have to end up having to move away because they're no longer energetic or fit, or they no longer fit in that frequency anymore where they once were, and they might end up physically moving. I want to say this too. It's this lady, her name is Dr. Mombi. I was listening to a video of hers, I think it was yesterday. I want to say it was yesterday or day before yesterday. And the title of it was called Your Love Changed the World, right? Your Love Changed the World. And she talked about how you vibrate at a certain megahertz, and it cancels out 750,000 people of low vibration. So you get one person. Now, the number she used was 500. So you get one person to constantly vibrate at 500 megahertz. It cancels out 750,000 people of the lowest vibration. So now if you really want to see a change, and it's hard to just go on and move somewhere, it's good to work on that. Because you don't want to be just fixed and focused on the physical world all the time and only seeing things as physical. And then be caught up in whatever kind of narratives they're trying to push. You're caught up in it. But so that's all I got to say, though. Another thing about raising your frequency, you got to be careful with that, too. Because if you're in a certain area where they're trying to low jack the consciousness of a group of people, especially in the United States of America, okay, they spy on people. Have you ever seen, look like some kind of camera flashes when your eyes are closed and you see a camera flash? They're actually monitoring your consciousness. Like, they're monitoring to see where you are consciously. And if you're rising above a certain level, if they see you rising up, it's almost like they take a flash of you, like they take a flash of your consciousness. So they're monitoring people who do all these meditations and try to rise up in their vibration. They monitor you. They seeing the people who's rising up, and if they the person who's rising up, they're going to throw obstacles in their way to kind of lower their consciousness, so cause them to have money problems, cause them to have fights with their family, cause them to have fights with their spouse, cause them to maybe have problems at work, whatever it is, their children, or all kinds of distractions. So when somebody, family member say, I need you to come in now, and they constantly bother you, constantly, because they know that that person might be your weakness. That person might be your what's it called, kryptonite. They use whatever is your kryptonite, and you trying to raise your consciousness, and then all of a sudden problems come because they already low jacked a certain area, and it could be an area that you living in. And if they catch you rising up like that, they can see that one peak. They can see that one peak rising up. They're going to try to throw stuff your way to make sure that to bring you low again. That's how serious they are about what they're doing. So even vibrating on like 500 megahertz is going to be a task if you live in certain areas. It's a way that you have to do it. And basically, you just got to practice and get into a higher state of mind. And get into a higher state of mind. You get into a higher state of mind, and really it's something that we all have to do. Work on whatever karma. What I call karma is like unresolved issues, unresolved patterns, like energy patterns, cycles that keep coming back around and around and around. It's those kind of patterns that keep coming. I call that karma. Okay. It could be the same thing coming to you, something that your mother did, some way that your mother treated you, and it come back around as in a person you meet a year later, and then it can come back as a boss, or it's like those same energy patterns, those same people that you saw in your mother or your father. They keep coming back around in different people. That's just karma. That's like it keeps coming back around until that issue is resolved with the root of where that all started. Well, you want to get to the root of where all that stuff started and work at it at the roots, and then work on like pretty much you building a new life, making yourself a brand new person. Okay. So, but that's about it, and I will talk later.